Ellie, the Houston Texans are 14-point underdogs at home for Thursday Night Football. Look, we've seen a lot of crazy shit happen on Thursday Night Footballs. We've seen a lot of crazy shit happen in the NFL this year. I don't think we're going to see anything crazy tonight. I mean, the chances of an upset here are very low, but we still got to talk about this game. There's some money to be won. We got to figure out how to beat this. So, Ellie, what are your thoughts on this game? Hey, I heard a rumor. Are you a Texans fan? I heard a rumor about that.
Bro, the Texans are one of my favorite teams. If it wasn't for the Texans and Bill O'Brien, that the Cardinals never end up with DeAndre Hopkins. That was just one of the absolute fleeces of the century. And I think if Cliff Kingsbury didn't end up as the Cardinals coach, that would be up there with the Herschel Walker trade. But instead, we got fucking jackass coach over here running 97% lateral screens. And anyways, yes, I like the Texans, man. They're cool. I think they did Brandon Cooks dirty. They probably should have gotten that guy back to LA or something. I'm glad they didn't. But, you know, I think they could have gotten him to a team or a contender. But,
yeah,
look, man, I'm excited for it. They're fun.
Speaking of Brandon Cooks, he is questionable with, what was it, personal reasons / ankle or something weird like that. So we got to keep an eye on that. He could
it's the James Harden, right? He's going to come out in like a bodysuit and shit. Say
like a fat suit.
Not ready to play.
Yeah, fat suit. Yeah, exactly. So we got to keep an eye on that. I'm not going to go over the, Monday night game. I'm just want to just jump right into this. Let's look at the numbers here. By the way, guys, throw us a like on the way in. Let's get 50 likes on this video, all right? Subscribe if you can. Try to get us to our 1,000 subscriber goal. We really appreciate that. So Houston at home. Hey, there's a World Series game, I think, on the same night here, but it's in Philly. That's kind of interesting. It's two cities going up against each other. Look at this ownership difference here. And by the way, when was the last time you saw like a 14-point favorite, like minus 14? That's a huge line, man. That's like back in the COVID days.
No, I think Sunday we were close to 12.5, right, with the Packers.
Yeah, we were.
And anyways, I mean, but to be fair, the NFL 3.5 points is still 3.5 points or 2 points. So, yeah, this is crazy, man. 14 points. I know I said on the other show that like that's usually way too much for an NFL team, but I think they might be a little generous here. I could see this line moving closer to 15.5, 16.5, even if you're crazy. But at the end of the day, like there is one thing I do want to say, just to be very clear about it. This is the NFL. Teams do not go undefeated. I know Philly's 7-0 or whatever right now. And there's going to be a game where they're probably going to end up losing. They're called trap games for a reason. This is the definition of it.
Definition of a trap game. Yep.
Philly is not great at stopping the run. We're going to get to injuries here in a second, but Jordan Davis is out. That's a big piece of their run-stopping defense. That dude's 470 pounds and 7'4". Like he's Wembanyama, or whatever that French dude is, but playing football and built like a lineman. He's a big run stopper, and he's out. So I think there's going to open up some obvious opportunities for Dameon Pierce and even Rex Burkhead, or Danny Woodhead's dad.
Danny Woodhead, yeah.
And then. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I do think there's a world in which Houston does have the tools necessary to win this game, but it's most probably going to be an ass whooping.
I mean, if any weird, crazy thing can happen, it is definitely on a Thursday night for sure, especially going up against a undefeated team. I mean, look, they're on the road. They still got to travel. They came off a big win. They're probably feeling pretty good about themselves. I'm not saying I'm picking Houston here, but I think maybe you could see a little bit of life out of Houston here. I don't know, man.
I got one more thing I want to point out too. Like this is a short week. Philly's in a different spot right now. Just the way the NFC is panned out, they could take a very, very conservative approach to this game because, you know, Thursday night injuries have been pretty severe. And we're not talking like little minor injuries on Thursday nights.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the Thursday nights when Tua was out. Right, that's when he got hit again and had to leave. You know, Thursday nights when we see MCLs, these bad knee injuries. So we could see Nick Sirianni be a little bit more patient with his team, some more substitutions, and a little less scoring from the Philly offense because of that. So just something to keep in mind. Again, it's going to be an ass whooping, but just in case, like, there is the opportunity for Houston to sneak in some points here.
Even if you really do think that Philly's going to blow this team out, if you're putting in a lot of lineups, you should probably think about doing a handful with Houston, like 4 stacks or something, just in case something weird happens. You can be that one guy who did that and have a ton of leverage. Everybody's gonna be playing defenses. Everybody's gonna be playing Jalen Hurts. It's gonna be kind of interesting to get different on this slate, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But let's talk about injuries.
Yeah, just pain. It was pain everywhere.
So there's not a whole lot to talk about here. I know that there's some, there's probably some defensive line, defensive players that are injured, but I didn't see a lot of people on that injury report for Philly. But you got Brandon Cooks here. We mentioned it in the opening, wrist/personal. It should just be personal at this point, because that seemed pretty personal to me. That did he put out a tweet or an Instagram post or something where he's very cryptic, but clearly not happy, because this guy is just gonna die in the desert alone. I mean, he needs some help, man. What do we do if he's out, man? What the hell? I mean, we're talking about the best pass defense in the NFL. Even if he plays, you might not want to play him, right?
Yeah, man. Look, I'm probably not playing Brandon Cooks at all. A spoiler alert. But if he is active, like, you guys got to keep in mind, he's gonna have Darius Slay on him. Darius Slay is the best corner in the league right now, or top 3, top 4, however you want to rank him, 1A, 1B. It's not best opportunity for Brandon Cooks if he does play. And let's be honest, man, like, what is he even doing out there? Like, everybody knows how good he is, and he's an injury prone guy. So, like, if I were him, I wouldn't go out there, bust my ass. I'd continue to sit on the injured list with my wrist and not play.
Yeah, I hear you, man. All right, let's get into this breakdown. Let's do it. Break it down. All right, so we've got Jalen Hurts at 11.8K. Everybody and their mom is going to be playing him tonight, and as well you should. I guess the question here is, can we not play him at captain and get the leverage on about 20% of the field and just put him in the flex? And shit, is there a situation where they're going against the worst run defense in the NFL, one of the worst run defenses we've seen in a long time? Basically, when you see Houston on the schedule, you just start the other team's running back. So is there a situation where Jalen Hurts might not be needed? Does that sound crazy?
Yeah, kind of. Like, there is a world where Jalen Hurts won't be needed, and we'll get to it here in a second, but the running backs are coming in pretty low owned, which really doesn't make sense for this particular matchup, in my opinion. The Houston's given up the most. We'll get to that in a second. But look, Jalen Hurts, he's got, let's see, what is this? Almost 80 carries on the year, 300 yards, 6 rushing touchdowns.
Are you kidding me? Holy shit.
Their offense is RPO.
Yeah.
Like, they're running. They're going to run the ball. He's going to be involved in it. Look, I'm going to keep it simple. I will be playing him at captain. I will be playing him at flex. He will be in 100% of my lineups. You can fade him at your own risk. But like, this is those Lamar Jackson days. Like, close your eyes, play him. And if he's the one that loses for you, like, it is what it is, man.
Yeah. Everybody else is going to lose too. Davis Mills at 9K. He's approaching that Ben DiNucci range. He's approaching that real bad, what is 8,400 or something. That's some of the lowest prices we've seen for quarterbacks. So 9K, not terrible, but not great. Are you interested in Davis Mills at all at that price? I mean, if he's involved in any scoring, he might end up as the 1 or 2 guys you might need from the Texans.
Yeah, man. Look, he's throwing the ball 33, 34 times a game. He's averaging 200, 215 yards. I don't mind getting a little bit of exposure to him. I do think that the field's going to be kind of low on him, just because, a 14-point spread is a lot to cover. So they're not necessarily expecting them to be competitive in this game. But old boy Davey Mills, he can put it up, bro. He can sling it. There was a couple games last year where he tore it up. I mean, I don't think that he's necessarily a terrible quarterback, and Houston's trying to see what they're going to be doing for the rest of their franchise here, right? So maybe Davis Mills is going to step up. But again, 9K, it's really not that big of a deal salary wise. The only thing is like, who do you want to go with? Are you only playing one person from Houston? If you are, then playing Mills means you obviously aren't playing Dameon Pierce. So
yeah,
I think that's kind of where you got to decide what you're going to do, and then find some value to play both of them if that's what you want.
I mean, he's going to go up against the best pass defense in the NFL, and he's got nobody to throw to, potentially nobody to throw to. So that scares me. Spoiler alert, I don't like him that much. But at 9K, you got to think about him a little bit because he is priced down so much. So let's start with Houston here. Damian Price, 8,600. Pierce, sorry, 8,600. Rex Burkhead, 4,600. Dare Uguanle, 2K.
Ogunbawa.
Oh, there you
Never
go.
mind, I had it, but I can't do it.
I'm not really super interested in these guys, really, to be honest. Damian Pierce going up against a bad rush defense. I mean, look, if there's one weakness to this team, Eagles, it's their run defense. They're giving up 5.2 yards per carry this year. They gave up 144 yards last week against the Steelers, and they're one of the worst rush offenses in the league. And look, Damian Pierce gets 77 rush yards per game. So, hey man, this guy's going to get involved one way or another. He's going to get involved in the pass game probably too. I think he's right up around that 17 or 20% target share range as well. So I think this is the guy we got to really focus on, especially if Brandon Cooks is out.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, at this point, he's their best player. He's getting involved in the pass game now, and we've seen his work consistently go up. I thought Rex Burkhead was going to end up stealing a lot of that work, but Damian Pierce, he's been pretty consistent with the production and the output. We know he's going to get the carries, and he's just consistently getting those targets now, 6, 5, 4, 5 over the past 4 weeks, right? What's a great way to stop an aggressive pass defense or defensive line is let the backfield leak out, or let the back leak out into the backfield and catch a little flat pass, right? That shit messes up defensive lines a lot. So I definitely think Damian Pierce is in play. He's probably my favorite player from Houston, but that's not earth or groundbreaking news. So.
Yeah, I think everybody
and then I
else
probably
is
won't have
agree
any
with
Rex Burkhead, man.
I'm kind of interested in Rex Burkhead at 4,600, just simply because, I mean, at a certain point, they're going to have to try to do something different up against this team. Rex Burkhead, we know what he's capable of in the past. It's a risky play, but if anybody's going to break the slate, it's probably going to be a Rex Burkhead type guy, and I want to have a little bit of him. I mean, he's probably going to be 10% owned, so you put him in a handful of your lineups, you'll at least be with the field and be covered. So let's go Go ahead.
Just real quick. I think you're onto something a little bit there. I must have missed this in my prep, but he's getting about 13% of the target share. That's 1% higher than Nico Collins. I know Nico Collins has had injury stuff he's been dealing with, but if that's the case, to your point, there's wide receivers playing that he might be out there getting some dumbass catches.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I haven't watched the Houston Texans a lot this year. I've tried not to. But they don't have anybody to pass to. So Rex Burkhead might just be out on the field just to help this guy out, help this guy from getting murdered. All right, let's go to Philly. So look, Miles Sanders, to me, this is I'm a little confused with Miles Sanders' ownership on the slate. They must be wrong, because to me, this guy should be the second highest owned player on the slate. He's 10.4K. He's going against the Houston Texans, guys. Just play him as much as possible. He's going to do okay. Now, the one reason you might say, okay, well, maybe not, is because you got Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott, randomly stealing touchdowns. Miles Sanders, I know he had no touchdowns last year, but he's got, 5 this year? He's got 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got 5 touchdowns this year. He looks good. He's going up against a terrible team, and I think he's going to be like the 7th highest owned captain. There's no way that's right. I mean, to me, he should be the second highest owned captain on the slate and the highest owned player on the slate, second highest owned. So am I just in love with this guy because of the numbers and because it seems like a perfect matchup? What am I missing? Why isn't everybody else on him?
Hey, so what is the yards per carry allowed by Houston? Do you have that by chance?
5.6 yards per carry.
5.6. Okay, just rough math. I'm looking at Miles Sanders. He's averaging just over 5 yards per carry.
Yeah, 5.2.
So that's against
5.2.
a mixture. Yeah, so with a mixture of defenses. So I'm right there with you, man. can you like what do you call a handcuff with 3 arms, like, or 6 arms? I'll play all 3 of these guys in one lineup, right?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, Sanders, Gainwell, Boston Scott. Why not, right?
Yeah.
Like they're gonna run the ball 70% of this game. I really don't think they're gonna pass it quite as much. And I don't know. This defense sucks, right? Houston is dead last in points allowed to fantasy backs, and I think on average it's about 31 and a half points. Like that's
Yeah,
stupid, bro.
it's terrible.
Like, that's just stupid.
It's terrible. There's gonna be points to be given. Now, whether or not Miles Sanders gets a large chunk of those points, I think that's probably safe to say, but you just never know with this team. So to me, I don't mind playing 2-3 of these guys. I don't mind playing Jalen Hurts and 2 of these guys. Like I think that's the way to go, especially if your game script involves the Eagles winning by 2 or more touchdowns in the fourth quarter. They're not going to be passing the ball. This is an undefeated team.
Yep.
They have absolutely nothing to risk. I mean, there's no reason to risk it. They have everything to lose. So if this team's actually going to be winning in the fourth quarter, you might see, Kenneth Gainwell get a couple extra snaps. So that could be, to me, that could be the reason why maybe people are off Miles Sanders a little bit. But it doesn't make sense to me. He's going to get there. If they're winning by 2 or 3 touchdowns, it's probably because Miles Sanders had something to do with it. All right. So,
Yeah.
go ahead, Bill.
The ownership, the last thing I got to say, the ownership projections, just as of right now, are way too low on really all 3 of these guys, but specifically Miles Sanders, man. Like, if I didn't know who the running back was, like the starting running back for the team was, but he was playing the 32nd ranked defense, I would just play him regardless of his pricing or his name, right? But he's a pretty good running back and a really good run team.
Yeah, if you just blanked out his name and looked at the numbers and looked at the matchup, you'd lock him in. Maybe just Miles Sanders just is the guy that has screwed people so many times in the past that maybe they're just a little bit more leery on him, but I'm not. I'm gonna lock him in. He's gonna be in every one of my lineups. He's gonna be my highest owned captain. All right, so wide receivers, AJ Brown is 11.2K, Devontae Smith 8,200, Zach Pascal 2,800, Quez Watkins 1,400. Look, it's a two-headed monster here. It's AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Zach Pascal's not really getting involved. Quez Watkins will get a random long touchdown or something here and there. He's like one of these dart throws that you put in a millie maker in your last spot and hope he gets a random touchdown. But to me, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, those are the guys. Now, to me, also AJ Brown. Look, we all know he is a monster. Obviously, he's expensive, and as well he should be. He had 3 touchdowns last week. But I think he's going to be a little bit over-owned because of the recency bias. Am I just overthinking this? Are you very interested in him? Because look, if you look at the Texans' defense, their pass defense is probably one of their stronger points. They've been pretty good this year. You got A.J. Brown going against Derek Stingley, and he's given up no touchdowns this year. So look, A.J. Brown could beat anybody probably. But I just think his ownership's going to be so high because of the recency bias in last week that maybe we can get a little leverage by kind of going under the field on him. Am I crazy?
No, I don't think you're crazy, man. If he maybe had like 1 touchdown on Sunday, I wouldn't necessarily think that the recency bias would be impacting ownership. But he dominated Sunday. So look, I think that's going to carry a lot of weight, and he's priced up like he did dominate, and he's priced up like he should be for this matchup. Now, look, I'm not saying don't play him. You probably are going to want to have a little bit of exposure to him. We're not fading this guy by any means, but there's just some other priorities I'm going to have on this slate just because of pricing. Obviously, if he has 100 yards and a touchdown, he may be close to the optimal, just the way that this slate is looking to shape out. But I am building with the game script in mind. I think that this is going to be a heavy running attack, and I think they're going to even limit more passing attempts, and that's going to impact these guys directly, right? AJ Brown's, Devontae Smith, those are 2 guys that have histories of injury. They might be little minor nagging ones, but this is a 17-game season now, so I can easily see them being limited. But AJ Brown, play him if you can. If you can't, don't sweat it.
AJ Brown, to me, obviously great captain option. He's going to be very popular. I by no means am not going to play him. I might just be a little bit more cautious as to where and when I play him. I might be just a little under the field because I understand that I think his ownership is a little bit overinflated. Devontae Smith is a great captain option, 8,200. We know his upside. But like I said, this Texans defense does have an okay pass defense. But look, why would if the Eagles are getting 5 yards per carry on the ground, why would they pass as much? Why would he throw the ball 25 times if they're getting 6 yards on the ground? You know what I mean? So I just think that the volume is going to go on the ground for this game. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you, and I think you're spot on. I think Devontae Smith is fine for a captain option, but just in the flex, he doesn't necessarily get enough volume to pay off. He's usually 2, 3, 4 receptions and 80 yards and a touchdown. Like he's big play or kind of just very very little bullshit type game. So yeah, I think he's a fine captain play. Let's put it this way. I think when it comes to the pass catchers specifically, that includes the tight ends. Just cap at 1, right? If you have AJ Brown, you probably don't need anybody else. If you have Devontae Smith, you don't need anybody else. Play a bunch of running backs, and that's going to be my strategy with the wide receivers.
Got it. All right, let's move to the other side. Brandon Cooks, we talked about him a lot. 7,200. He might not play. He might play. If he does play, I still don't know that I'm interested in him. Chris Moore and Philip Dorsett are now the number ones, sort of, or I don't know I would ever call them number ones, but I mean, you're talking about like 4th string guys on most teams being like the number 1 target. So what do we do if Brandon Cooks is out and maybe Nico Collins is out too? I mean, if these guys are out,
yeah, man.
Actually, Nico Collins might be out already. Yeah, he is out. Sorry, guys. I will move that. But my point here is what do we do here, man? Are you going to fade all these guys? Because I might just not have any of these guys.
Yes, I'm probably going to be fading most of these guys, if not all of them. Brandon Cooks, I think if he does play, I may make a kind of a random captain lineup with him just to hedge, because that's who he is, right? He's one of those guys who can go out and dominate. Like he might just say, well, you didn't trade for me and go out for 202 touchdowns, right? I highly doubt it. He's going to get Darius Slay all game. But, throw him a captain if you want to hedge and feel a little risky. Other than that, like Chris Moore, I've never even heard of that dude. Has he done anything this year? Anyway, so look, I'm not paying 5,400 for him. I think there's other guys that we can pay for. And honestly, I don't even think we have him on here yet. Tyler Johnson was a late season addition to the Houston Texans. If he is active, I do think that he is an interesting play. He'll probably be $200 if he's even on the slate. And I'll go back and check that. Maybe we can. I'll look on DraftKings and update the Discord. But
I don't see him in the player pool right now. But yeah, that could change.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would be more comfortable playing a $200 guy so I could pay up somewhere else than really playing anybody else at wide receiver. Like instead of playing Brandon Cooks, I'd rather play Tyron Johnson and get a 0 so I can pay for someone else.
No, for sure. I guess I could contradict myself a little bit here and say, well, you could target if your game script involves the Eagles winning and consistently winning going into the 4th quarter, you could target a little bit of garbage time. It's probably not something you can plan for. But if you think that they're going to be losing by 2 touchdowns in the second half, they're probably going to be coming out passing the ball quite a bit. Doesn't mean they're going to be successful, but that could be something to consider. All right, so tight ends here. This is pretty nasty. OJ, Brevin Jordan, okay, 1K. Jordan Akins, 800. OJ Howard, 1,600. These guys are all like the same guy. You know what I mean? They're kind of all the same player. And they're all cheap. I'm kind of interested in these guys. I mean, Jordan Akins at 800, OJ Howard. We've been trying to get an OJ Howard touchdown game on a Showdown slate for freaking 3 seasons at this point. Any interest in these guys?
Okay, real quick, I need to clarify. My dumbass read the news update wrong. It was Tyron Johnson or whoever that wide receiver was on the last screen. That $200 guy, that's the guy I'd be interested in if he's active. But
Tyron,
look, man,
for sure. Yeah,
Tyron Johnson. But look, yeah, man, these guys, I like the tight ends. The problem is trying to determine who's going to be the favorite tight end, who's going to be the starting tight end. Like coming in the season, Brevin Jordan was that guy. But we've seen a little bit of love to Jordan Akins, see it, OJ Howard getting a little bit involved here. But look, rotate some of these pieces in. We need some value so that we can pay up for some of the other studs. And I don't think everybody wants 90% Boston Scott, right? So, sprinkle in a little Brevin Jordan, sprinkle in a little Jordan Akins, right? Let's see, what is it? Philly. I think Philly might. That's another area where they're, just they're 14th. Okay, so they allow 8.8 points per game to the tight end position. At $1,000, if Brevin Jordan gets 7 points, that might be enough for us to pay up for somebody that we need. So these guys are definitely going to be in my player pool. I hope I don't have to, keep saying this, but don't play more than one. Probably only need one of these dudes.
Watch two of these guys score a touchdown, I'll laugh.
Yeah.
So if you look at the snap rate here, Brevin Jordan, it seems as of lately they're kind of splitting it between Jordan and Howard. They're both getting kind of around 50%, and then Jordan Akins is only getting on the season like 32% of the snaps. When you look at the routes run between these guys, looks like Brevin Jordan is kind of the guy that's getting majority of those routes being run. OJ Howard is kind of in second on there. So I think I'd probably lean towards Brevin at 1,000, but I think all these guys are options here. I don't think you can forget about these guys. All right, let's go to Philly. Dallas Goedert, 6,600. That seems pretty low for him, man. He's obviously like fourth in targets on the team behind Devontae and behind AJ Brown, obviously, but 6,600. I like him, man. There's so many options on this side of the field. It's hard to not like anybody on the Eagles today.
Yeah, man. And look, another interesting captain option, right? At 6,600. If he ends up with a touchdown, 80 yards, he could be an optimal captain and allows you to pay up for some other pieces here and there. So look, I'm interested. You guys all know how I love tight ends. I don't think I've had enough tight end captains this year for you, but look, I love playing tight ends. He'll be in there for me. Like Dallas Goedert's the guy.
Yeah,
I don't think you need Jack Stoll or whatever the fuck this Grant dude is.
Focus on the other side of the ball for that.
Jack's been getting a little bit of involvement though. So like if you need a $200 play, I wouldn't be too hesitant to give Jack Stoll a shot. But keep in mind you're probably getting a zero.
Kickers and defense. All right, we'll get to the defense here in a minute, but 4,800 Jake Elliott. That's one of the most expensive prices for a kicker I've seen in a minute, and $1,000 difference between the kickers. I've never seen that before. Have you? I mean, usually 400, maybe 600 at the most. Kaimi Fairbairn, 3,800. That's a big gap there, man. Are we interested in any Houston kickers in good weather? Opportunity where they probably aren't going to get a lot of touchdown opportunities. Maybe they run out of gas in the red zone. I don't know. What do we do here with these kickers? Jake Elliott's projected for double the points and double the ownership and he's $1,000 more. Is that worth it for Jake Elliott?
Yeah, man. Look, if they're really projected to be up by 2 touchdowns, I think that they're taking field goals when they have the opportunity to. So I do think Jake Elliott's a fine play. I will by no means be targeting him in anything, but look, if he takes a couple field goals, the 4,800 might be enough to be in the optimal. The Kaimi Fairbairn, I did my best on the first time. I'm just calling him Fairbairn. But look, dude, Houston's going to have to take points. There's a real world that he might be the highest scoring Houston player. So I don't know, man. I think you have to have a little bit of exposure to him. I think even with the field, maybe even slightly above.
Jake Elliott only has one attempted field goal over 50 yards this year. He made it, but he hasn't really looked great. I mean, he's got a 10-point output. Do we think that a $4,800 kicker with 10 points could make the optimal? Maybe. But I just don't see it. This has happened to us a couple times before where the kicker ownership's coming in way higher. The projected points are coming in way higher. Like, I totally get it, but it's a kicker. Like, you can't really guarantee that these guys are going to even see the field sometimes. So why are we doubling up on Jake Elliott over Kaimi Fairbairn? I just don't get it. If I didn't see the names, I just saw the prices, and I would be a little bit confused. Am I thinking too much into this?
No, I don't think you are, man. Look, 4,800 is pretty expensive. You need a certain, floor for him to pay that off. So I'm with you. And again, let's see where ownership kind of lands. But if he's chalky, what the fuck? I'm not playing chalky kickers. I can't stand that.
I mean, if you look at the prices around him, I'm sorry, you probably can't see this. You got Kenneth Gainwell is $200 more, and then Rex Burkhead is $200 less. So Philip Dorsett, if he's the main guy, he's 4K. So I do kind of see there's not like a whole lot of other options around him. So maybe that's why. It's just because of the way the builds are going. That could be the reason why, is because when you get to the last spot, obviously Fairbairn is going to project much higher from a median point of aspect than these other random wide receivers and backup running backs. So that's probably why he's seeing a lot of ownership. And I don't know that it's justified. I really don't. Let's go to defense. Eagles. This might be the highest priced defense I've ever seen. Correct me down in the comments, clown me, but 7K for a defense. They're going to be 20+% owned. People are going to play him in the captain, probably almost as much as Miles Sanders. I'm not going to say I'm going to fade him. I can't do it. It's impossible. But I'm not putting him at captain. Are you? I mean, 7K. Look, before I even talk to you about this, 7K. Dallas Goedert's $400 cheaper. Brandon Cooks, if he plays, is $200 more. How many times does Dallas Goedert outscore the Eagles defense if you played 100 of these games? Probably like 80% of the time, don't you think?
Yeah, man. Look, 7K is a lot. I think the easiest way to explain this here is they have one touchdown on the year. Their defense does. At 7K, we would expect a wide receiver to have a touchdown at 7K, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
why wouldn't we expect the same thing from the defense or special teams? Now, they do have games where they have 2 games with 3 interceptions. They have a game with 9 sacks.
Yeah.
Right. That game they had 18 fantasy points, and that was with no touchdowns, and no turnovers. So, they had a fumble recovery. But again, the amount of work you need to pay off a 6K defense is kind of crazy.
7K, even worse.
I won't be playing them. And then just given their projected ownership, that's way too high, man.
I mean, like I said, we've seen some crazy things happen. I mean, the Browns won the other night, 3 nights ago on Monday Night Football. Anything can happen. So as I say, I'll never play the Texans defense. The first drive they come out and get a fumble recovery for a touchdown, and they're the optimal captain for the first half. I'm going to kind of chuckle. Probably not going to happen, but we've seen crazier things. All right, so let's move on to our captain choice here.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Crowning their ass with our favorite tournament captains. Jalen Hurts, obviously going to be the most popular guy. Like you said, it's kind of a Lamar Jackson on Showdown situation. You just don't overthink it. I agree with you. I might try to get a little bit of leverage by not playing him in captain as much. For me, Miles Sanders is in a smash spot. It's an obvious play, and I think he's going to be like 6th or 7th highest owned captain. As of right now, the ownership projections are criminally, he should be way higher. So I'm going to take advantage of that quite a bit here. So, Ellie, what other guys are you looking at for captain? And if you want to kind of get into any more details with these 2 guys as well.
No, man. I think that you want to stay towards the running game. Some interesting stats here, and I think this kind of ties into our kicker thing there. The Eagles are 71% conversion rate on 4th down too. So they're number 3 in their converted 4th down attempts. And how does that happen? The running game.
Yeah,
that's Jalen Hurts, the quarterback sneak. It's Miles Sanders right at the gut. I think these guys are the optimal captains. I think I'm right with you. I still like Miles Sanders too. Dude, I think you can be real weird and go with Kenneth Gainwell. There's a very real world where he vultures a touchdown or 2 and gets a lot of 4th quarter run. Look, and then Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, obviously AJ Brown. I think he's going to be overowned, like we said earlier, because of his great week last week. Devontae Smith. Obviously, you can put a guy like Pearson at captain, maybe like a 1-5 or a 2-5. That's an interesting option. We should build a 1-5 with Pierce. We should try that. All right, let's look at our fade.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
You're not into Brandon Cooks. I'm not into Davis, whatever his name is. Reiterate just in case people are skipping around.
Yeah, man. Look, Brandon Cooks, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. He probably doesn't want to play for this team anymore. So I just don't have any interest in him beyond that. He's hurt, so he could probably not play tomorrow night. And it would just be a waste of everybody's time me explaining the slide. But I like yours, man. Davis Mills. Look, this Philly defense is real. It's going to be tough for him to get going. And shit, 9 sacks against Washington. And I don't know if Houston's offensive line is all that much better. So you could see 5-6 sacks here. Mills is in for a tough night, I think.
And Mills doesn't really have anybody to throw to. I feel bad for him. I think he's actually doing pretty good with what he's been given. He's not getting a real fair shot. He's getting a lot of experience, tons of starts, which good for him. But, you know, when you look at the tape, he probably doesn't look very good because of where he's at. Now, the one thing that we could see Mills have some success is if that run game is working, you could get some decent play action down the field to Cooks. But we don't know if Cooks is going to be active. So a guy like Philip Dorsett would be the guy. And, you know, that guy's never been the guy before. So there's a reason why he's not a number 1 wide receiver. No offense to Dorsett. If you're watching or if your family's watching, I apologize. All right, let's get into our lineup build here. When you click the button, this is what it gives you. Jalen Hurts captain, Brevin Jordan, Brandon Cooks, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and Dameon Pierce. So we're missing Miles Sanders. We're missing A.J. Brown. I'll save it, but I don't love it. Let's build our own with Jalen Hurts. And let's get a little creative because you know you're going to have to go compete against a lot of people who are going to have him at captain. So what do we do here?
I mean, look, man, I think we start with all the running backs. Like, let's go Miles Sanders. Let's throw in, and then Dameon Pierce. And I think that's kind of my core when I'm starting here. Yeah. I like Gainwell. Yeah, put him back in.
All right. All right.
Well, bro, throw in Boston Scott. Let's see where we're at.
You're a psychopath, dude. 6,500. Chris Moore or Jake Elliott.
For the Eagles. Oh, no, Eagles defense. That's too expensive for the Eagles defense.
Yeah, Eagles defense.
I don't think I would play them. That's so crazy.
Yeah. All right, let's get a little bit more conventional here. I like Miles Sanders. I like Dameon Pierce. Let's go. Let's get a pass catcher. At least one pass catcher in here.
Can we do Goddard?
Yep, let's do Goddard. That's 6,700.
Let's go with Brevin Jordan and see what we have left.
Okay, Brevin, 5,700. Kind of in that same area here. You got a guy like Chris Moore. Kenneth Gainwell. Yeah, hey, that's not bad.
Yep.
Interesting. Let's do a little more of a pass heavy. Let's kind of ignore. Like, I'm personally not going to go a lot of that, but let's try to build one for anybody who's interested in doing that. So that's the case. AJ Brown. Let's go AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Let's see if we can do this with Hurts at captain. You're probably going to have to go super low if we're going to do like a 4-2 here, which we probably have to get some value. Do you want to go with like a kicker? Do you want to go with Boston Scott or, maybe Boston Scott here? I don't know.
So this would be a lineup where I think it wouldn't be crazy to throw in that Tyron Johnson dude that we were talking about from the Texans, the wide receiver for $200.
Okay.
And then let's see where we're at from here. Can we get Dameon Pierce?
Yeah, we absolutely can, for sure. It's going to be a little tight, going down 2,300. But hey, you get Boston Scott, you get OJ Howard, you get Quez Watkins even. I mean, for now, we can go Boston Scott. I mean, if you wanted to go crazy, you could do that. But did I do Pierce? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a second. I did Miles Sanders.
Hey, no, that worked out well. That was Miles Sanders too. So even then, we still had some pretty decent flexibility there.
Yeah, that's a good lineup. But here's Pierce. Now we're looking pretty good here. So 4,100. That's Philip Dorsett. That's the kicker. That's Kyrie Fairbairn. So this is a 3-3. You could do, you could go way down
Texans
here.
defense.
Yeah, if you wanted to get stupid, you could do that. Boston Scott, any of these tight ends even. See, this is kind of interesting here. You got 3 of the best players in the game, the best player in the game at captain, and I still think you're very unique. Obviously, you got Johnson, you got Boston Scott, and Pierce. I think that's interesting. Do you want to build anything else with Hurts, or do you want to move on to the next guy?
Let's move on to the next guy.
Who do you want?
Let's do Dameon Pierce, and then we can go over to Miles Sanders.
All right, Dameon Pierce.
Let's try the 1-5, bro.
Let's click the button. Oh, yes, exactly. Click the button, and this is what happens. Hurts, Sanders, Goddard, Brandon Cooks, Brevin Jordan, and Pierce. Let's do the 1-5. Let's get Jalen Hurts in here. Let's get Miles Sanders in here. Do we want a pass catcher? Do you want to go down? Do you want to get a Devontae, or what do you think here?
Yeah, let's start with Devontae Smith.
Okay.
And then I guess we got a punt. So let's go Boston Scott.
Okay, Boston Scott, 4,900. That gets us a kicker.
Yeah, Jake Elliott. Got Rex Burkhead. I actually wouldn't hate Rex Burkhead in that lineup. I mean, we're doing a 1-5 here specifically, so obviously Elliott's the guy. But
yeah,
if you go 2-4, I mean
Rex Burkhead right there. Yeah, interesting. I don't hate it. Can we do more like a 2-4? Oh, we did. I guess we just did. Let's do a more of a conventional 2-4 here. Let's put Davis Mills in here and see what we can get. If that gets us anything. Hurts. We got to put one of his pass catchers in. In this situation, we might only be able to afford a guy like Dallas Goedert. So you cool with that?
Hold on. You want to see what happens if we throw in AJ Brown?
Yeah, let's try it. We haven't really built with him yet.
Okay.
5,100. So a punt. It's going to be like a Quez Watkins or something.
Yeah, let's throw Quez Watkins for the punt.
Okay.
3,700. Yeah, see, we're still in that weird area.
So yeah, I mean, you can go Zach Pascal, but now you got Quez Watkins and Pascal in the same lineup. No, thank you. So this, you can't quite get Fairbairn. This is kind of interesting. So let's get rid of AJ Brown. Let's just go down to Devontae and see what happens here. So if we punt with, let's try Boston Scott just for now and see what that gets us. 6,300. So Kenneth Gainwell, Chris Moore. This isn't a bad lineup for Chris Moore. Or you go down to Rex Burkhead, leave a lot on the table. I don't like him. This doesn't feel right to me.
So go from Boston Scott down to Quez Watkins.
Okay. Quez.
Then I think that should give you Dallas Goedert.
It does. Yeah. Hey, that's not bad. Hurts, Smith, Watkins, and Goddard. So no run game at all for the Eagles. Hey, you still get the run game with Jalen Hurts. He's technically like the 1A running back almost, 1B maybe. All right, let's go with Miles Sanders here, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts, just lock him in. You want to go Dameon Pierce?
Yeah, let's you want to throw in never mind. I was going to say Brandon Cooks, but I still just don't want to play him, man. Like I just don't want to do it. Let's stick with the Eagles.
I mean, we could try it, dude. Let's just try it for one. Let's put Brandon Cooks in for this lineup. He's a little cheaper.
Him and Brandon and Dameon Pierce.
Hey,
I was going to say.
I mean, those are going to be the highest scoring guys most likely. If Cooks plays, then yeah, it's not bad. 6,800. So we probably want to get 2 more Eagles here, right?
What's crazy is I'm like 90% sure this will work perfectly if you go Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott.
Dude.
This is dumb, but
oh man, this might be my Millie Maker lineup, dude.
Jesus.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of nice, actually. I don't hate it. I say that.
Nobody will have that lineup. Nobody's going to play Brandon Cooks, man. I really don't think so. Yeah. So like if he's active, like that's not a terrible lineup in that case. All
right, let's build one more with Miles Sanders here. So let's involve the pass game a little bit more. Let's get AJ Brown. Let's punt right off the bat with this Tyron Johnson guy, maybe, or any of these
And then you
cheap
want to throw
guys.
in, yeah, throw in Davis Mills, I think, for this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That leaves us 2,200. So
Hey, it's our favorite guy,
Guess who? Guess who?
Dare Ogunbowale.
Oh yeah,
No,
you can do
Boston
him
Scott.
too. Yeah, you can do him too. Or OJ Howard here. I mean, I know it messes up the stack, so more likely this OJ Howard would end up in a lineup like this. But it's open.
3-3
Just
might
rotate
not
it
be
out.
bad, dude. Like it, unless like you know, the optimizers are spitting out 3-3s just because of pricing, which I don't think they're going to do. Like 3-3s may not be terrible if you're punting on the Houston side of the ball, so you can get these high end dudes from Philly.
All right, do you want to do any more?
Let's do one Dallas Goedert and call it a day.
Dallas Goedert, boom, captain. Let's hit the button, see what happens. Brevin Jordan, Devontae Smith, Sanders, Pierce, Hurts. Okay, fine. That's not bad. We'll probably end up with something close to that. Jalen Hurts. Now the question is, do you want Miles Sanders or do you want wide receivers?
Miles Sanders.
All right, Miles Sanders. Now who do we want? Do we want Dameon Pierce? Okay, love it. 9,300. We go with the kicker or something.
No, just do Devontae Smith and Boston Scott. No,
not
work.
quite.
Devontae Smith and Jordan Akins.
Okay.
Brevin Jordan. You know, like,
Brevin Jordan, yeah. You got Brevin Jordan. You got Akins. I don't even really know where to begin with this. Like, there's leverage to be had. Now that we've built lineups, it just seems so weird. I mean, there's just so many different things that can happen. Where are you leaning towards on these captains? Like, did you see one captain that you were kind of like, yeah, that actually looks pretty good. I might do a little bit more of him.
Yeah, just fading the slate entirely. No, I think, look, man, I think Jalen Hurts is going to be my primary captain, but Miles Sanders, like, he really just is so unique given the fact that he's projected for less than 30% ownership. I don't give any away like proprietary info, but that's kind of crazy. It's the worst run defense in the NFL, right? Just like, I don't know, man. Like, think about the ownership you're gonna get a discounted captain. What's that? Less than 5% captain ownership? Like, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
So,
I think he'll probably be around 7 or 8, but still, you're talking about like 6 guys that are higher than him. I mean, that's a lot of guys that are that might end up not doing as good as him. All right, so what is your what's your prediction here, man? Do you even have a prediction?
Shit. Let's go 38 to. I'm gonna go 9. I think maybe
this isn't the Broncos,
Texans defense gets a safety.
All right, this is gonna seem a little weird. I'm gonna go 24 to 14. I think this is gonna hit the under, right? Is that the under? Yeah, that would hit the under, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 38. I swear I took math in high school. All right, what else, man? Are we just rambling at this point? I don't even know if anybody watches.
Low-owned guy that you think can score. Boston Scott.
I hope Boston Scott. Low-owned guy that I think can score. Miles Sanders, is that count as a low-owned guy at this point?
Yeah, hey, man, right now, yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll see you guys later. We appreciate it, and we'll see you for Sunday Night Football, whatever that is. Hopefully it's better than this game.